Okay, so let's this is going to be a little bit of a video of how I've designed and modified my ultimate knife to be better suited for me and my purposes. So anyway, first thing that you're going to want to understand is that when you have a large knife, you're going to want to have a leg strap on it, because most large knives have a loop that goes around the belt. Okay, now this loop is usually floppy. Okay, so you need to have some other thing to hold the sheath down as you draw your knife. Okay, because you don't want to be fighting with your sheath when you're trying to use your knife quickly. Okay, something else is that when you go for your retention strap, I like to have mine right under the hilt or the handle of my knife. You'll see that when we do the close-up tabletop version portion of this video, because I want to be able to access it with my middle finger, okay, or my index finger, but usually it ends up being my middle. So I want to be able to bring it right here, and I want it to be right at arm's length. I do not want to move my hand up or down to try to find my retention strap. Okay, this is how you speed draw a knife in this type of a knife. Okay, so I'm going to use my middle finger. I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to hit the retention strap, and I'm going to bring it up. Okay, as soon as you heard that snap, it disengaged. Okay, now as I'm bringing my hand up, I'm going to pull the knife, grab and pull the knife, and now I've drawn the knife. Okay, see how that works? So what happens to turn this into a fast draw for a knife is it'll just be, I'll come here, I'll boom, and it's right here, it's right in my hand. Okay, I'm ready to use it. As soon as my knife has cleared the sheath here, I can go straight into a stab here. Okay, so I can literally have this knife out, and as soon as it's cleared, just like if I was fast drawing a pistol, well, I'm basically fast drawing a knife, essentially, because as soon as it's here, I know for a fact the tip of my knife. And here's the other thing: you want to have your sheath low enough so that once your hand is right around your ribs, you know the tip of your blade has cleared your sheath by at least a good 4 or 5 inches, so that no matter what position you find your leg in, your tip of your knife has cleared. Okay, and then you just turn it down, and then you can stab here. Okay, so that's something that's important. Some people like a friction sheath. For me, friction sheaths, I have a half and half love and disdain for. But either way, the fact is that you have to find what works for you, and I'm just showing what works for me. So anyway, in the next portion of this video, I'm going to get into the modifications that I've made. So, hi guys. So quick side note, so before we go into the tabletop review, I want to just show you a little bit of the sharpness of this blade, because I talk about sharpness and where my level of sharpness is and everything like that. So I got a few things to cut on, and I want to show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking sharpness. This is a standard business card. Okay, just like that. Okay, it didn't take any effort to go right through that magnetic strip. It's just there. It just does. Okay. Oh, here's another one. Oh, want more? Okay. How about more? More? oh hey, we got a piece of cardboard here, so. Yeah, it's sharp. Anyway, just thought you might enjoy that little bit of carnage. Okay, onto the tabletop. Okay guys, so here we go with the tabletop. The first thing that you're going to want to know is whenever you start carrying a large knife like this, you're going to want to have a good sturdy belt to hold it, okay? This knife is almost 2 pounds, so I mean, all that said and being done, you're going to need a good sturdy belt. I choose a standard military issue pistol belt, or guard belt as we call them in boot camp. So that's what I've got for mine. Alright. So now then, let's actually look at the actual knife and the way I've modified it. Okay? First off, the flap to hold the knife, the loop, it was a bit large for me, and it was a bit too long. It dangled the knife just a little bit too low, and also it came in front of and almost on top of the blade. I didn't want that, because every time that I ended up drawing and resheathing the knife, I ended up cutting on my sheath. I didn't like that very much, so I modified it and used something that that is common, in that instead of putting the loop to fold over in front and on top of the knife, I reversed the direction. Okay. Now, does that put the uglier, fleshy side of the hide outward? Yeah, but I really don't care. At this point, I really don't. At this point, it's more about ergonomics and how it performs more than anything. And that's always been my main goal. So what I did is I stitched it, triple and quad stitched it in certain areas with my speedy stitch or sewing awl. Okay, here's the retention strap, and the way, and part of the reason why I had to do it this way is as I was drawing and resheathing my knife, I actually cut my retention strap off because, well, it's a very sharp blade. So I modified it so that the retention strap is connected in here under this teardrop shape in the sheath, and I'm not sure what's going on with that, because when you have a teardrop shape like that, you're actually weakening the sheath at this point, and this sheath is dealing with a lot of stress and load from having the spine here. So here's where most of the weight on the sheath is going to have, and why you would have not very much leather there, I'm not sure. But since I folded this loop back here, it does support this better, so it works. Alright, and since when I folded it back and I shortened the loop a little bit, I ended up with leather back to here, which is fine because I used that leather to extend my retention strap to make it better for me. Okay, so once again, speedy stitch or sewing all help me out with that. Alright, so now I've got a retention strap that works very well with the knife, and it's better. Okay, now let's go to the leg strap. Most leg straps, industry standard, and I don't agree with this, they want to put the leg strap all the way at the bottom of the sheath. I see where they're going with that, but with a large knife like this, a leg retention strap at the bottom of the sheath ends up riding around your knee. If it's riding around your knee, it's not going to help you much, because now you're always trying to mess with it, and it's always and your retention strap is always in your way, and if you try to run, well, then that leg strap just ends up being more in the way than anything. So I ended up using a box weave with bank line, just for a little bit of extra cordage, as kind of a box weave lanyard type thing. On the back, I used that detachable pouch to feed a piece of bank line through to give me a better leg strap. Bank line is more durable than leather. It's better than leather rawhide. It's just what I choose to use. So I also instead of keeping the leather stitching, I switched it to bank line, because bank line being more durable. I've also got probably, I'd say, 150 yards or so of 150 pound test bank line under my pouch and around the sheath for extra cordage if I need it. Alright, so now let's go into the pouch. What have I shoved in the pouch? Well, just behind the pouch you'll see that I've got my ferro rod that's stuck in between the pouch and the knife and the sheath. Now what that does is that when I open this flap, that gives me a toggle to grab, and not only do I have my ferro rod, I've got my ferro rod striker, but I've also got a knife sharpener right here. So I've really got three things right here that I can use, or two things that are very important to me. One is fire, and then the other is sharpening my knife and maintaining my knife to have the sharpest edge that I can. Okay, so that's important. The third thing, the second thing I have, or the third thing, however you want to put it, is I have a Bic lighter. The reason why I have this is simply because it's a lot easier to try and make a fire in the woods with a Bic lighter than it is any other method. So why not have that in my knife sheath, so that if I lose everything but my knife, I still have a surer fire. Now, is it surefire in and of itself? No, but it's much more sure than any other method, without having to go to Sterno or some other mini Inferno or something like that. Okay, and then the last thing that I have in here is a cloth sail needle, number 4. I actually bought this one from Dave Canberry's website, Pathfinder School LLC, no, www.thepathfinderschoolllc.com, and he's got these on his website. And I just took the needle, and then what I did is I wrapped, I don't know, maybe 5 feet of 100-pound test bank line to it, and now I've got, you know, a pre-threaded needle ready to go, and it's at a 100-pound test. Now if I wanted to make this cordage last longer, or if I didn't need the 100-pound test, I could easily unthread it, you know, take this apart into 3 separate pieces, and each one of them being roughly 50-pound test, and sew up with 50-pound test cord instead of 150. So, you know, it's kind of up to you, but, you know, with 5 feet of this pre-threaded, there you go. I mean, and since it's threaded in a double over fashion, each stitch actually makes this cordage 300 pounds tensile strength. So, you know, that's a good option. Plus, I've got all the good things for a needle that I can use it for, like cleaning out my nails, like getting a splinter out, etc., etc., etc. Toothpick, you know, whatever. Alright. So that's pretty much what's going on with the sheath. Alright. Now let's look at the actual blade here. I have modified the cutting edge. The reason why I had to do that is most knife makers, and it's nothing against the knife maker who made this at all, and it's nothing against him on the sheet. It's just I always have to modify things to make them perfect for me. And honestly, this is the closest to perfection that I've ever gotten out of a knife maker or a sheath maker ever. So this is not a bash on Bushcraftmyway or the way he made this knife. It's just the way it is. When I put an edge on a knife, most people want to put it at a 22-degree angle. I don't want a 22-degree angle bevel on my knife because to me it's just not sharp. To me it's not that level of sharpness that I want. I want a bevel angle of anywhere from 11 to maybe 15 degrees. So, yeah, that changes my bevel quite a bit. The heat treat that he did on this blade is awesome. And the reason why I say that, and what makes it awesome to me, is the fact that it is almost file hard. Why is that a good thing? A file hard edge, a file hardened knife, or a knife that is file hard. Now what is file hard? File hard means that it's hard to sharpen that weapon or that knife with a file. Okay? It's hard for that file to actually even cut the metal. Okay? So this is just almost file hard, which is awesome, which is exactly what I was after. Okay? Because an edge that is almost file hard, one, it's a bear to sharpen. I mean, it is a bear to sharpen. But man, once you sharpen it, that edge will last forever. Okay? That edge will last so long it's not even funny. Now, the problem is that if you have to sharpen it, you're going to spend quite a while sharpening it. I mean, if I had to sharpen this edge with a sharpening stone, it would take me probably about an hour and a half per side just to get a bevel. Okay? That's how hard this edge is, which is awesome because that's what I want. Okay? I don't want to be, I want it to be that hard. I really do. With a file, it takes me about 15 minutes to sharpen it down to the right bevel for me on either side. So that tells you. And that's with a chainsaw file that is designed to cut, and that cuts like crazy. Still takes 15 minutes. So, that's awesome. I mean, that is truly a testament to his quality of work. I mean, you don't get better than that. You just don't. The pommel. The way he made this pommel is I gave him an idea or what I wanted the knife to be able to do. Okay, I wanted this knife to be able to function as a secondary hammer in case I lost my axe. Okay, so what he did is he basically gave me a hammerhead at the bottom of my knife. Right there, boom. Now I have something very solid to strike with. Okay, I have actually pounded nails with this thing, and I'll show you, since the semester's over, I'll actually do some outdoors testing with this, and I'll show you how well it fares. But it fares very well. It has no problems with pounding nails or anything else in its way. For all intents and purposes, it's a great hammer. Also, the way the scales are designed, so that I have that little bit of ledge there, that allows me to put my thumb right on top of it, so that when I am hammering, I actually have a very good support system for my hand. Also, since the pommel is as long as it is, it's going to keep my hand far away from the point of impact. So I really have very little worries about my hand slipping or anything like that. Also, because of the way the handle is designed, you know, if my hand starts to slip, it's just going to slip into more and more friction for my hand to hold on to. So it's bottom line is my hand is not going to go to the point of impact. Okay? Something else. The handle itself, the way it's designed, is very comfortable in the hand. I mean, it literally has been designed to fit my hand like a glove. Okay? There are 3 stainless steel pins in the handle, not brass. Why don't I want brass? Well, because brass has a tendency over time to tarnish, 1. 2, the other problem with brass is it just doesn't last as long as steel. It just doesn't, as far as I'm concerned. And since I'm going for the gusto on this knife, I want steel. Okay? If you look at the spine, and especially at the pommel, you'll see the steel, you'll see this black stuff, and then you'll see the birch handle. This black stuff is actually a leather that he form fit to the handle. And basically what happened is, and the reason for this, is that when I'm striking with this pommel, this leather will actually absorb any shock to prevent any shock from happening from getting to the birch handle, to prevent it from splitting. Okay? This Spanish notch here is very distinctive. It does a great job of protecting the fingers from the blade. But more than that, if you look at it, it's got that little hook there. Now in the old days, that was actually used to help process sinew for cordage and other things like that. Okay? It also gives a very distinctive start sharpening blade here type idea. Okay? So it's very awesome for that. When you flip it over, you find that the spine is almost 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay? There are not many knives that have a spine that's that thick. There just aren't. This one does. And I have no worries about throwing this thing, because if I have to throw this thing, it's not going to bend. It's not going to break. It's not going to give. You know? If I have to use this to baton or split wood, this spine will hold it. It'll take it. From what I could tell by the way it performs and everything like that, it's made out of Romanian OSC 8 steel. Now the closest thing that I could find to American tool steels that this would be similar to would be an 01. So yeah, it's awesome. The point, when you look at it, it's kind of got a bullet point. It's not a thin point. That's good. The reason why that's a good thing is because I don't want a thin point. Okay? The thinner point that you have, the more tendency it has to break. This point will not break on this knife. I've thrown it at some pretty thick plywood, and the only thing that happened is the point, the very, very tip of the point, and I do mean the very tip. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe 1 millimeter back, it bent to the side just a tad. And that was after I had been throwing it at the plywood for about, I don't know, a half hour, and it was still sticking. So, you know, and I just touched it up with the file and good to go. You know, she's still straight and true as an arrow. So honestly, all in all, the testament of Bushcraftmyway's work on this knife is phenomenal. It's astounding. I mean, did I have some modifications that I needed to make to the sheath for me, for my carry and the way that I handle things and the way that I carry my weight? Absolutely, yeah. Is that to be expected? You bet. Okay. Did I have to modify the bevel and resharpen it the way that I expect my edges to perform? Absolutely. But here's the thing. Most knives that I carry, or that I have carried in the past, and actually most knife makers that make knives like this, unless it's a 1095 or something like that, that type of those type of knives, they can't even handle the edge that I require out of them. Stainless steels do not perform well enough for me to actually put an edge that I like to have on my knife. They just don't perform that way. This one does. Okay? A 1095 tool steel that's heat treated correctly will do that too, but not like this one. This one is stellar. So, for what I bought this for, and for the way it's designed, the man did awesome. There is no better blade on this planet for a bushcrafter or self-defense that I can think of. I mean, for what I bought this for, there isn't better. There just isn't. So yeah. More to the point, to give you a further testament to how much this knife means to me and how much it, and just how awesome it is. Even my wife, who does not like knives, really. I mean, she likes knives, but she's not a knife nut like I am. But even she says she wants one just like this. And well, not 9 inches, but she wants it a little shorter. But outside of that, I mean, she does want the same design. So, you know, Mr. Bushcraftmyway, if you're watching, well, I'll be getting a hold of you within the near future to get you hopping on it. That's pretty much what I have to say about that. Something else that I want to promote, one of his products that I ended up with too, is he's got an old fire steel that he started out with that's got his logo, and I turned it into a necklace. And actually, I've been training with it for a little while, pretty much ever since I got it. And it also, surprisingly, it's an awesome little self-defense tool. I'll show you how to use it in upcoming videos. But it is an awesome little self-defense tool. Also, so not only can you knock a spark off of it with the flint, but you can also use the way he's ground this as a wonderful fire starter, as a wonderful ferro rod fire striker. I mean, yeah, it's great for your ferro rod, and I always have this around my neck. So yeah, something else that I would like to throw out there. So anyway, there will be a response video to this, which will be the actual testing of this blade. But I wanted to sit down and go through a tabletop and show you why it is the way it is and the way I designed it to be. When I do knife self-defense videos and when I do things with knives, this is going to be my go-to knife for training. So you will see it again. You will see it all the time if you watch my channel. So anyway, thank you guys, and I appreciate your comments, I appreciate your views, I appreciate your time. Defend your homes wisely.